The Big Island is a great place to observe Hawaiian sea turtles, or honu. The turtles will crawl up on the black sand beaches to warm themselves in the sun.
My name is Auntie Cindy Honaunau Grace Punihaole, and I am here to share with you about corals. Many native Hawaiians consider coral to be their oldest ancestor. For millions of years, these foundational species have protected coastlines and sustained thousands of organisms. Kahaluu Bay is home to some of the largest, oldest remaining nearshore mounding coral colonies along the Kona coast. Today, the stressors are more significant because we have sewage leaching into the bay, heavy runoff, chemicals in sunscreen, and climate change. The impact of these chronic stressors have caused many corals in Kahaluu Bay to decline and even die. The good news is we are observing many new small corals growing on the coral reef. These corals are resilient and give us hope for the future of Kahaluu Bay. But we must do our part to reduce our impacts so the coral can continue to support life. Kahaluu's reef teaches us simple things we can all do to care for coral here and around the world. Float while swimming and snorkeling, cover up or use mineral sunscreen, and always give marine life plenty of space. Caring for our reefs today ensures they will continue to take care of us for generations to come.
When you're on Maui, be sure to check out MVC, the Maui Visitor Channel on TV. You'll find a wealth of information on all things Maui, from how long it takes to drive to Hana, to what to wear for sunrise at Haleakala, and everything Maui in between. Restaurants, activities, beaches, culture, and more. You'll find it all on MVC, the Maui Visitor Channel. Don't waste your precious Hawaiian vacation time surfing the net or endlessly Googling Maui. When you're preparing for your day, turn on the TV and get all the info you need, all in one place. MVC, the award-winning Maui Visitor Channel. The Maui Visitor Channel, look for it at Channel 130 on your TV dial and in your Maui Hotel's HD lineup. And now streaming on our companion website, MauiOnline.com. The Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your go-to place for all things Maui. There's more Experience Hawaii on the way. Stay tuned. An epic tale of kings, cattle barons, and a little bit of Broadway are one of the surprises found here on the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii, and more specifically, Parker Ranch. Rolling hills and pastures, as far as the eye can see, stands of trees, and of course, the ever-present cattle make up one of the largest private ranches in the U.S. So large, they say, at one time it encompassed half of the Big Island. Anthony, take us back to the very, very beginning.
Well, with any cattle ranch, I think the beginning starts with the cattle. In the early 1790s, the British Navy, under Captain Vancouver, bring the cattle to Hawaii. They give a gift of about a half a dozen head to King Kamehameha. Kamehameha accepts the gift. He doesn't really have a use for it, but he puts the kapu on it.
A kapu is
That is the edict by the king that the cattle shall be protected, under penalty of death. The cattle are kept in Kona for a while, and then Kamehameha has them brought up to Waimea and released. The kapu is set for 10 years, so nobody touches the cattle for 10 years. In Waimea, we have beautiful weather, we have no winter, we have plenty grass, plenty sunshine, so the cattle herd grows quite large. Parker jumped ship in 1809. Kamehameha unites all the islands under one monarch, himself of course, in 1810. So it's a very special time for a young man to jump ship in Hawaii. He learns the Hawaiian language in Kauai Harbor. After being here for about 3 months, he gets an audience with King Kamehameha. He goes to Kona. Couple outcomes possible. One, Kamehameha is going to like him and allow him to stay with protection by him, or he's not going to like him and he's probably going to be on the next ship out of here. But there's something that Kamehameha sees in young Parker. He's a big man, he's humble, he's hardworking. Unlike a lot of sailors of the day, he doesn't drink, he's a teetotaler. So I think Kamehameha sees a fine young man and he puts him to work. He manages the royal fish ponds at Honaunau for King Kamehameha for several years. And in 1815, Kamehameha gives him the job that sets him apart, the first royal cattle hunter in Hawaii. 1816, he is allowed, with the blessing of King Kamehameha, to marry his granddaughter, Kipakani. So our young New England sailor joins the elite class. Parker works as a royal cattle hunter up until 32. From 32, the vaqueros come over, teach them how to be cowboys, so now they start domesticating the cattle. In 1847, with the Mahele, Parker is the first time he's allowed to buy land. He buys 2 acres here in Waimea. The original homestead that Parker builds is still here today. It's called Manahale.
It's amazing to think that Manahale was the humble beginning, 2 acres of what today is thousands and thousands of acres. What does it take to run a place like this today?
Well, it did start with 2 acres. A few years after he bought his land, his wife inherited a section because she was a royal princess, 640 acres. As the ranch prospered, the Parkers bought more and more land. At the height, they owned about half the Big Island. When the ranch was put into trust in 1992, the Parkers owned about 200,000 acres. The ranch presently is at 150,000 acres, and it's likely to stay that way. 150,000 acres. We have 30,000 head of cattle. We have about 250 horses. We have 12 full-time Paniolo cowboys. We have 8 part-time. So you're like, wow, 30,000 cattle, 12 cowboys. How does that work?
It seems to work very well at the Parker Ranch. One of the most famous Paniolos from Waimea was Ikua Purdy, great-grandson of John Palmer Parker, who, as they say, roped his way into history at the 1908 Frontier Days in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Every year since 1943, on the 4th of July, the cowboy tradition is celebrated with a rodeo at Parker Ranch. If you're in Waimea on the 4th, chances are that's where everyone will be. this house behind us, tell us a little bit about this house.
This house is called Pu'uhonua. It was the home of the Parkers from 1879 till 1992. 4 generations lived here. They ran the ranch from this house. It's the heart and soul of Parker Ranch. The house is about 8,000 square feet. Mr. Smart filled it with Asian and European art, beautiful art collection. It's on 300 acres of horse paddock. It's still a working part of Parker Ranch. It's a very strong touchstone to the ranch, and it's a place what all of us that work on a ranch love, Pu'uhonua.
Tell us a little bit about Richard Smart.
Richard Smart was the 6th generation Parker. His mother was Thelma Kahilu Parker. She married a man named Henry Smart. That's where we get the name change from 5th to 6th generation. Richard was tragically orphaned. His mother and father died. His mother of tuberculosis, his father of meningitis when he was 2.5 years old. He's raised by his grandmother, Elizabeth Jane Dowsett, who lost her husband at 19. So here's Elizabeth Jane Dowsett, a Victorian debutante who raises Thelma, now raises Richard. With all the tragedy in Richard's youth, the rest of his life is pretty magical. Yeah. His grandmother does a great job raising him. He's taught by A.W. Carter to run the ranch. And then, in his adulthood, he becomes a performer as well, becomes our singing and dancing cattle baron. And after his Broadway career, after his singing career, he successfully runs the ranch for 30 years. A very colorful life. I mean, we end our story with the singing and dancing cattle baron, Richard Smart, and that's so special with all the tragedy in his life. And then, to come up and become such a, bring joy to the world through his performances, it's a miraculous thing.
What a colorful family and what a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Anthony.
That's my pleasure.
Mahalo, mahalo.
Mahalo. See you on Parker Ranch.
You're watching Experience Hawaii, the very best Hawaii has to offer. Revered as a place of forgiveness, some have even called it a refuge. Pu'uhonua o Honaunau National Historic Park is located in the ahupua'a of Honaunau in South Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. It began centuries ago when a ruling chief declared the area a sanctuary, protected by the gods. Here, those who broke kapu could find safety if they could reach the enclosure before being caught. Would there be a place like this on every island, or only on the Big Island of Hawaii would we see a place like this?
On every major district there was a pu'uhonua set aside.
A place you could go to for refuge.
Correct. There were 6 major districts in the past, 6 major ahupua'as in the Hawaiian Islands. Even down in Waipio Valley.
Oh, yes,
was one for the Hamakua area. There were supposedly over 30 pu'uhonuas throughout the Hawaiian Islands. So every major district of each island had a place set aside like this. So in other words, if you booked a lot on Maui, you didn't have to swim all the way across.
Sure,
the long swim.
Sure.
You went to the closest one.
So everybody definitely knew where a place like this would be.
Correct.
If you were to make a mistake.
That's right.
To break a kapu meant death. To make it here meant life.
To break a kapu, the punishment was death, right? If you could make it here safely, you were forgiven of your wrongdoing and given a second chance to life. Now the trick was to get here. It wasn't a walk in the park. You got to you got to swim to get to this area first of all. And whoever saw you break the law, for example, you know, if she broke the law, say her grandfather or her father or her husband or her son or her best friend broke, it was that person's responsibility to carry out the punishment. Now it's bad enough killing somebody, let alone a loved one, you know how hard that is. But anyway, so that's how it was. So he broke the law, she's swimming out here, that person is pursuing her. Once she's here, she's safe. You couldn't even touch her. She meets a priest and he forgives whatever wrongdoing you had done. Say that the most maybe 2 days. And then you swam back out a free person. In the Old Testament, there was a same mention of the city of refuge. But in the Old Testament, a lawbreaker went to a site like this. They had to stay there either for the rest of their lives or until the high priest died. As long as they were there, they were safe. That's where the name City of Refuge we were talking about earlier came about. Missionary guy comes out here, sees the area, and he asks the native guys, hey, what is this place? And he told them, this is the Pu'uhonua Honaunau. Well, for some other reason, he couldn't say that, so he started calling it City of Refuge because it reminded him of the cities of refuge as mentioned in the Old Testament in the Bible. But the name stayed for a long time.
When you're here, you can't help but notice the impressive Haliokeave and the striking carvings called ki'i that surround it.
These images basically represent their different deities. To this site here is a site that is dedicated to the deity of Lono.
Lono would be the
god of agriculture, the god of peace, tranquility. Some would say the god of rebirth.
Walking the grounds, you can't help but notice how serene and beautiful it is.
Haliokeave was a mausoleum that held the bones of the deceased.
Would that be the royalty?
This would be the royalty, the elites. Starting off from, well, let's say starting off on the chief Keawe. Keawe was reigning the district of Kona in the 1500s. On his passing, he had asked that his bones be placed into the temple. What is quite interesting, although the elites are living like we are, that now passed to the next level, believe the spiritual powers are still within the bones. So
and the Hawaiian word
is mana.
Mana.
Now, the word of mana is something that we today, to some, is not easy to explain. To others, they say it's such great love that they had upon their people, or their people had towards this individual. And that's what protected the site. The wall basically separated the grounds of the royalty, which is we're on this piece of property, to the opposite side being the sanctuary where the people went to ask for forgiveness. The kapu basically was everybody. So you have the ali'i entering into the sanctuary, you have the common person, you have the kawa. They all enter into the opposite side of the wall for safety to ask for forgiveness.
So the place of refuge is definitely a very important place for everyone, ali'i, to come in. And I want to thank you, Tom. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you, Charles. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
You're watching Experience Hawaii.
Each year, over 400,000 people visit Kahalu'u Bay. For nearly 20 years, a team of devoted volunteers has been present at Kahalu'u every day, sharing their aloha for this special place with beachgoers and empowering them with simple things they can do to protect this sensitive ecosystem and all who call it home. When you visit Kahalu'u Bay, we invite you to meet our Reef Teach community stewards. Here with us today is one of our original Reef teachers, who is always happy to share his experience with you.
I'm Vince Carr, and I'm a Reef teacher at Kahalu'u Bay. Most of us became Reef teachers because we love this bay and we want to keep it healthy. When you arrive at Kahalu'u, we hope that you'll come and talk story with us. We're here to share simple steps that you can take to minimize your impact on the reef and answer questions so you have an enjoyable and respectful experience at Kahalu'u. Kahalu'u's reef teaches us simple things that can help corals here and all over the world. Float while swimming, cover up or wear mineral sunscreen, and always give marine life plenty of space. Caring for our reef today ensures that they will take care of us for generations to come.
Reawaken the feelings that ignited that first spark with a gift that tells your love story. Made in Hawaii with aloha, capture their heart with Maui Divers jewelry. Visit us exclusively in Hawaii or at mauidivers.com.
We've got much more of the spectacular views from above when we continue our journey.
You're watching Experience Hawaii. Aloha and welcome to Maui. I'm Celeste Akeo. The American writer Mark Twain once said of the Valley Isle, "I went to Maui to stay for a week and remain 5. I never spent so pleasant a month before or bade any place goodbye so regretfully." So join us as we explore all the best that Maui has to offer. Our journey begins 10,000 feet above the sea at mighty Haleakala, House of the Sun. You're watching Experience Hawaii.
Aloha and welcome back. I'm Celeste Akeo. While visiting Maui in 1866, American legend Mark Twain discovered a verdure-clad needle of stone 1,000 feet high that stepped out from behind a corner and mounted guard over the mysteries of the valley. He was writing about one of Maui's most historically significant sites, where the epic Battle of Kepanivai was fought, and it is there at the majestic Iao Needle where we continue our visual exploration of Maui.
When you're on Maui, be sure to check out MVC, the Maui Visitor Channel on TV. You'll find a wealth of information on all things Maui, from how long it takes to drive to Hana, to what to wear for sunrise at Haleakala, and everything Maui in between. Restaurants, activities, beaches, culture, and more. You'll find it all on MVC, the Maui Visitor Channel. Don't waste your precious Hawaiian vacation time surfing the net or endlessly Googling Maui. When you're preparing for your day, turn on the TV and get all the info you need, all in one place. MVC, the award-winning Maui Visitor Channel. The Maui Visitor Channel, look for it at Channel 130 on your TV dial and in your Maui Hotel's HD lineup. And now streaming on our companion website, mauionline.com. The Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your go-to place for all things Maui. You're watching Experience Hawaii.
The sky comes alive with vibrant, like the beauty of a Hawaiian sunset. Touch to a day in paradise. Of both visitors and like here in Hawaii.